On the next episode of Sips, Suds, and Smokes.
Today's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight. And no, I don't mean I'm taking good old boy Dave shopping for new pants.
Woohoo!
No, this is a real fight. And there will be gnome mercy.
Gnome mercy? Who writes this stuff? Great. Recently, good old gal Juliana and I acquired a few beers from Dancing Gnome Brewery. They've been a fixture of the Pittsburgh craft beer scene since they opened in 2016. We were going to just do a brewery takeover and taste a flight of beers. But then we found out that we have a gnome brewery here in Nashville too. So what would any responsible person do if they got their hands on two gnomes? You guessed it.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
We'll be right back after this break. Brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking hosts, the good old boys. Suds, Suds, Suds. It's time for more Suds.
Welcome. Gather round. Drinks in hand, chips around, or pretzels, or crackers, or something. Get a comfy chair and...
maybe some peanuts.
Maybe some peanuts, popcorn.
Never.
Something, yes.
Something tasty.
Something tasty, because this one is going to be cool. Everyone, this is a Suds segment where we drink and we know things. Well, okay, we definitely drink, and we drink a lot, so we're halfway there. This is going to be such a cool episode. Joining me at the table today for this crazy gnome episode is good old boy Kendall.
I am so looking forward to this. This is going to be fun.
Sparky, good old boy Sparky. Thank you for being here today.
It's great. Well, you said this was a retrospective on Klaus Nomi, but I thought that we were here for something else. No?
I'm sorry. I got to throw a flag on that one.
Whatever I can do to get you here.
All right. Fair enough.
I'm speaking to your intellectual side. Oh, I'm so happy that... Sorry, I'm like so jazzed.
Man, let's just...
She even has her jazz hands up.
I know.
I do. I got all the
Why
jazz
do you drink a
hands
beer?
and-
Who is this guy you're talking to?
What? Good old boy Sean. I'm happy to see you across from me.
I'm happy to see you and everyone else here on the recording.
It's been a bit.
All
It has
right.
been a minute.
Yes. And good old boy Dave. Hello.
I have sensitive nipples.
Yep, here we go.
And
And
who
we're
are you?
off the rails already.
Didn't take long.
And who are you?
Who am I? I'm
Yes.
a very happy good old gal Juliana today. Yes, as you will see with this episode. So today's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight. And no, I don't mean I'm taking good old boy Dave shopping for new pants.
Woohoo!
Thank God. No, this is a real fight. And there will be gnome mercy.
Gnome mercy? Who writes this stuff? Great.
Good old boy Dave, if you're not going to try on new pants, can you at least tell us what we're doing today?
All right, let me put on my current pair of pants. Well, recently, good old gal Juliana and I acquired a few beers from Dancing Gnome Brewery. They've been a fixture of the Pittsburgh craft beer scene since they opened in 2016. We were going to just do a brewery takeover and taste a flight of beers.
Boring.
But then we found out that we have a gnome brewery here in Nashville too. Crazy Gnome Brewery opened up in East Nashville in August of 2020. So what would any responsible person do if they got their hands on two gnomes? You guessed it.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Two shall enter.
Okay.
And Sean broke us.
I just had this like image of Tina Turner with two gnomes, and that's where my brain's gonna be with the rest of like
We don't need another hero. We just need a gnome.
or a small hero,
A worthy gnome.
half a hero.
Two gnomes into one gnome leaves.
Okay, so this is how this is going to go. We're going to do 3 rounds of blind tastings. The first 2 rounds will be head-to-head comparison with the same style. The third round will be a freestyle battle royale where we pit something kind of unique from each brewery and may the best gnome win. I'll give you the lineup after each round, after we taste and rate those beers. Good Boy Sparky, would you please give us the Suds ratings for today?
Oh boy!
Well, hold on, Sparky.
What?
I brought in a special guest to do the Suds ratings.
A special guest.
We'll be discussing and rating these beers with these Suds ratings and our signature belching sounds. Here are those ratings now. 1. That sucks. Give me anything but a bud. 2. Was that a belch? 3. Ah, what a relief. 4. A body should really not make that sound. 5. Listen to that hang time. Give me another.
Okay.
I'm wondering, where do you have this gnome locked up? Is like he in your garage somewhere?
It's the guy on the table. I had to pay him in beer. That's why he's laying down.
I would just like to point out that it is very impressive that little guy could still produce at the really loud levels that
The guttural riff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of volume.
Oh.
No
impressive.
gnomes were harmed in this podcast episode.
We'll get there.
Yeah, just kind of creepy, but yeah, okay, we're going with it. So, guess we get to round 1, huh? Okay, ladies and gents, in front of you, we have 1A and 1B. They are both red ales. Shall we agree that they are a nice reddish color to start with?
I'm colorblind to red and green, so
Okay.
I'm going to have to. I'm not wearing my special and chroma glasses.
So, one of our super beer brains here, Kendall or Sean or Sparky, tell us a bit about the style, if you don't mind. Throwing you right.
Definitely.
Go for it, Sean.
I would say it's a malt forward, characteristics, caramel malts, usually some sort of bready malts in there as well. And then as I'm recalling, trying to remember when I was brewing a red ale, some of the other things, sometimes and I'm picking it up on 1A here, feels like there might be a little bit of chocolate malt in there. There's definitely something going on there that's giving it more of a roasty note.
Yep.
I don't know, Kendall, any other highlights of the style?
I always get just a lot of caramel, like you mentioned. You can get a lot of toffee too. But when you look at these beers, the 1 is definitely a little bit darker than the 2. And I think you nailed it. I think there might be some other malt in there, like just a touch of chocolate.
Yeah.
Well,
but
isn't it like with, especially with like an Irish red, right? Like you're supposed to get that roasty finish, and kind of a dry. Yeah. But then, as with every style, if you throw the word American, like an American red ale, it's just going to be hoppier.
Yeah, and it tends to be less roasty, more caramelly.
Yeah,
and you really get that from the malts. It's a malt driven beer, unless you do hop it up a lot, and then you know that's where you get your red IPAs coming in, and it does balance out really nice.
Yeah, this is nice. This is very nice and balanced in what I would consider to be more traditional to the style. I mean, personally, when I'm having a red ale, I don't want to be assaulted by hops. I want to focus on the roast and the dry finish.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
It's nice to taste the traditional aspect of it, I think.
I think number 2 is probably a little more American forward. I'm getting less of the roast, or even less of the roastiness, a little more sweetness. Yes. But there is some hop out there to balance that sweetness. But it is a sweeter beer.
It is, yes.
And therefore, a little bit lighter in color and comparison.
Less chocolatey, but more
Yeah. Now with 1A, I'm digging it maybe because I feel like there's a spicy. Am I getting like rye or something like that?
That's very possible too. That's another favorite ingredient in the style.
Yeah. I feel like I'm getting a spicy rye. I almost want to say this may be leaning towards like an Irish red versus a true like American red. I mean, I don't know. I haven't divulged or looked into like the specifics of what they're brewing with yet.
Yeah, it's just got a little more flavor overall.
Yeah, and I like the aroma on 1A a little more than 1B. Like they're still kind of cold, so it's can't totally get it, but I do get more caramel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really, I don't know. I tend to be a little bit more of a traditionalist, and I mean, I'm really digging 1A much more than 1B. I mean, I see where they were going with 1B, but also like, again, with that style, I want to focus on the dry roastiness, the malts. Like I'm a malt freak, and
you're all kinds of freaks.
I am, but really on 1B, that I'm kind of a little bit distracted by the hops on it. I mean, it's not out of balance, but it really kind of overshadows.
I think they're both nice beers, but they're definitely different.
Very different.
Yeah, very different. Yeah,
and even talking about the color, the one A is.
I mean, it's like a
gorgeous,
like a light brown ale almost.
Yeah, but it has those red tints and it's crystal clear.
Yeah.
Whereas 2 it's reddish, but it's almost a dark amber ale, and it's got a little haze to it going on.
Yeah, the clarity piece. Since I can't comment on the color red at all.
But honestly, they're both nice beers.
Yeah, there's nothing objectionable in either one of them. Yeah.
Put a pint away. They're just very different interpretations of the style.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, but okay, so to add to that though, which I think is cool, is I've never had the same kind of red ale from different breweries. I think the red ale is the one that's most open to interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
A lot of room.
Yeah, there is a lot of room, and you can have varied versions. So, me personally, I'm enjoying both of them, but I'm enjoying both of them for different reasons. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
I like the hoppier note out of 1B, but then I like the spicy, the deep, like,
roasty,
This one is, I mean, 1B to me is like a fiery redhead. Like she's the original. She's not a bottled version.
Lots of character.
Yeah. This one is like what's really under the trunk kind of thing.
I would love to do with the first one. I would love to like use that to make a batter for like, fish and chips. I think it would be fantastic to go along.
Yeah. Both of these would make a good base beer.
Yeah.
Dang it, now
I
on
like
fish
it.
and chips.
Me too.
That's what I had for dinner last night.
Oh, good on you.
But little did I know I could have had this beer with it last night.
This is a fantastic beer for fish and chips. This style goes so well.
Yes.
Yeah, because it cuts through some of the
oiliness. Yep.
Exactly.
Well, we'll be back with our final thoughts on the red in just a minute. Welcome back, everyone. So, today, it's a battle of the gnomes. We are pitting 2 breweries, one from Tennessee and one from Pennsylvania.
Mercy is for the weak. We do not train to be merciful here.
That is nice.
Those gnomes, I gotta
Gnomes are
get
creepy.
a decoder ring for them or something. Or some decoding ring. Anyways, these 2 beers that we have been discussing with the first part of this podcast was a red ale. So we have 1A and 1B. And then, of course, because we're extra, we went and we blended them too. So 1A, we are going to rate a 4. 1B, we are going to rate a 3. And then if we were to put 1A and 1B together, blended good old Boy Kendall style, I'm going to say we're going to go with the 5.
Yeah, it was.
During the break, Kendall got a little adventurous.
Yeah, because the thing I noticed, we talked about the hops really standing out in 2, and the roastiness in 1, and that one was a little more dry, one was a little more sweet, and it's like they're very different interpretations, both good. But if you put all of these flavors together, I bet they work really well. So I did that about equal amount malts. I mixed them together, and it was just a beautiful red ale. Everything you want.
Yeah, it
really
very
did tamp down kind of the sharpness of either, and it kind of just all the flavor of the malt came out.
So when gnomes work together, that's when beautiful
magic
things happen.
happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Are they cooperative like Smurfs or?
So I read something that said gnomes are always born as twins.
Huh.
So maybe one was crazy and one liked to dance, and
One
they
was
got separated at birth. And
One was happy and one was crazy.
yeah, and you brought
I
them
think
back
that's
together.
cool.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I think both of these beers are really good, and no matter which
Yeah.
one you drink, you will. I mean, they're both very enjoyable.
No, they're both solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably some of the most enjoyable reds.
And you also got to give it to, I don't know, have we decided which one's which yet? Have you
She hasn't let us know yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
She loves this
curious.
part.
I'm curious about
Okay,
this.
so our runner-up comes from Pittsburgh.
Oh.
Yes, it's called She Knows Beer. It's an American red ale, 4.6% ABV. It's a vibrant red ale that was designed and brewed by the talented women at Dancing Gnome, woohoo, in collaboration with the Pittsburgh Brewery Diversity Council, which started in 2021 as a way of kind of going good stewardship to and helping to encourage diversity in the brewing industry.
Very cool.
And speaking of which, in Pennsylvania, the first Holy Black Brewery opened up this year in Harrisburg, our capital.
Oh,
so I
cool.
thought that was kind of cool.
Nice. One of the 3 brewers, I think there's 3 now at Dancing Gnome, is a young lady.
Yes.
So she's clearly knocking it out.
Is. Yes,
Yeah.
she is.
Well, and Pennsylvania's got a good history too with women brewers, right? It's Carol Stroud's breweries from Pennsylvania. So yeah,
Awesome.
Yes. So that's that. And then Crazy Gnomes beer is a little bit different.
the winner.
It was. They call it a Red Hat Ale. This one is only 5% ABV, which I find interesting because it doesn't, I mean, it's so much
got
flavor.
a lot of flavor.
Exactly.
But the fact that the Dancing Gnome beer, they went ahead and described it as an American red, that makes sense with the more hop forward profile.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think if you're looking for an American red ale, knowing that there will be a little bit more hops involved, this is a really good example of that.
Well, I think it's great that, right out of the gate, Tennessee has established its dominance over Pennsylvania. I think that's what really I got out of all this.
Are the Titans playing the Steelers this season?
Really?
Probably at some point.
Yeah. We'll see how that dominance works out.
We'll see. We're not scared.
Wow. Okay. And another thing about Red Hat is they do use rye malt for a clean, dry finish.
Hey, look at you.
Explains
Look at
a
that
lot.
spice. Look at that
There we
spice.
go.
Yeah.
Check out the taste buds on Juliana.
They occasionally come out.
Hey. Don't be looking at her taste buds.
Okay.
So in that round, the young upstart
I know.
the
Came out.
established experience.
Isn't that kind
now.
of cool?
Came out swinging.
Yeah.
That's within walking distance of my kid's middle school. I
There
just
you go.
kinda might
Wow.
need to change up my game plan now.
Field trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Rock on. Let's go to round 2. Okay. Round 2 is going to be the battle of the fest beers.
These look completely different.
Very different.
Yeah. I'm looking at 2B here, and it's got the color of a Pilsner, like a.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that quotation finger fest beer?
Okay.
I mean, it definitely has a lot of the flavors going for fest beer.
Very much.
Ooh, 2A is nice though. That's kind of what I think about. 2A is what I think about when I think about a fest beer.
Yeah, especially
Same.
color and yeah.
Yeah, are we talking the malty Martzen, or are we talking about the easy
The
drinking,
lighter version,
the fest beer that you're meant to put down 2 or 3 liters?
And I wonder if that's
Challenge
what
accepted.
we're running
I
into
think that's
here.
what we're seeing here.
Yeah.
Yeah. The traditional versus the new. I think fest beer took over at the Oktoberfest like in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
when
it hasn't
started
been
to
around that
dominate.
long.
Yeah. But I mean, I love Marzen. I think it's just
Yeah, that's
really good
I look
stuff.
forward to every year. That's kind of how much I can put away.
I actually look forward to both of these. You know, they're both Oktoberfest themed beers, but they come at it from different angles.
Well, Marzen like fills you up too. So like you switch off to fest beer to kind of give yourself a little break.
Yep.
Even with your palate too, because Marzen's such a rich, flavorful style. But this fest beer is like nice. It's still got flavor, but it's a little bit of a lighter kind of kickback.
Did they cancel Oktoberfest again this year?
Yes, they did.
Jeez, man. You know, I really miss the Rhizome Volksfest. To me, I mean, that was such a fun time.
That was fun
Yeah.
too, but
yeah,
you need to talk to somebody about that.
yeah, I know.
There's a
Trust
few of
me.
us lobbying for it.
I had my dirndl pressed and everything, man. I was ready to go.
My Lederhosen.
I do have some Lederhosen I haven't broken out yet, and I need to.
Oh, I've broken out of some leaders. Wait, what are we talking about here?
I probably would break out of some Lederhosen if I tried it.
Wow.
Yeah. Kindle in leather shorts. Yes. Think about that, everybody.
Oh my.
I'll wear them next time, Dave.
Wow.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is just, very different. You know, 2A really feels like a more traditional Märzen, and then 2B really is, kind of
Maybe
in
the
that
fest
fest
beer,
beer
yeah.
bucket.
Yeah. Both of these are good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing.
No
nothing-
slouches.
Yeah, nothing going
Again,
on
I'm
here. that-
impressed by both.
I mean,
but for different reasons.
I think we're drinking down a draw, in my opinion. Both are very solid beers, and they do what they do very well. And it is not really fair to compare in any category, in any brewery, a Märzen versus a easy drinking fest beer.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of the danger you run into if you just use a generic term like fest beer.
Yep.
Because it could be both.
Yeah,
Correct.
And that's what Oktoberfest has come to mean too. You never know what you're getting when you buy a modern Oktoberfest, especially if you've never had it before.
Yeah. Yeah. Juliana and I did a little short episode and covered some fest beers. And I think all three ended up being Marzens, but one of them leaned more towards the lighter.
Well, and I
fest
think
beer.
you can blame Sam Adams a little bit for that too, because they've created such a dominant, made the name well known, and it's quite a bit different, than what
Well,
we
and I blame
consider.
Sam Adams for a lot of things.
Right.
I mean,
But even I think all the big brewers have done that. Sierra Nevada changes up their Oktoberfest beer every year.
Yeah.
And they've gone the range from easy drinking fest beer to a nice
to a
toasty Märzen.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of Bell's Oktoberfest this year, and that one's really solid, and just really what I want. And I've been drinking a lot of other Oktoberfest, and I just keep gravitating back towards the Bell's.
Yeah.
So I would say in that regard, 2A is closer to what Bell's is doing with their Oktoberfest.
Yeah,
Really?
absolutely, absolutely.
There's a little more malt character to it than
I
sure.
feel like
back to the 2B. Yeah.
2B is more like because we had the Urban Chestnut from St. Louis, and I feel like theirs is more on the lighter fest beer side. But yeah, I mean, and that's one really cool thing about it too. It's like you can get both. You get the best of both worlds. with these.
On 2B, I'm getting more alcohol out of the end of it, which is unusual because I, don't usually associate that with the style, but I don't know. I'm kind of getting like a little burn there.
Well, Juliana spiked yours.
Okay.
so-
Well, that explains a lot.
With some hard seltzer.
Was it a roofie colada this time? Because, well, all right.
We'll tell you when you wake up.
Yes. Well, I had to keep him here for
That's
a while
true.
because he's so busy.
That's right.
Well, back to the gnome storage.
Okay, so a couple of thoughts. First of all, this year seems to be like this summer was the summer of Pilsners, and this fall seems to be the fall of the Oktoberfest. Like, I'm so happy that so many breweries have embraced this style and done their interpretation. There's just been so many great Oktoberfests this year. And it's the type of thing where, like, I want to keep drinking it, even like past October,
Yeah.
Get some schnitzel.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's just a colder version of a lawnmower beer in my eyes.
Isn't
It's that transitional.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how
Exactly.
craft brewers have now realized that easy drinking lagers sell well?
Yeah. Wow. That's
Right?
weird.
You
huh?
don't say.
It's only like 98% of the beer sold in the world are easy drinking lagers. And it's like, okay, craft finally figured that out. People like beer that they can drink.
Yeah.
Sure.
And not get totally wasted on a barrel-aged Neapolitan, Sunday or something
exactly.
like that.
Is this?
I mean, there's a time and place for that. God.
Is this
Right,
the
totally.
pendulum swinging back from lactose beers? You know,
I hope so.
God, I hope so, but no.
But yeah.
I think we need a ban on lactose in beer, except for milk stout.
Reinheit Skaboot 2.0, right?
There's a good reason for those laws. Let me tell you.
Well, when those milkshake seltzers started coming out, that's when
Oh,
it got
God.
weird. So
Okay, so overall on 2A, I mean the color traditional E fest beer, and we are going to rate this a 4. Okay, 2B, a little lighter in color, but still dare say it's still a traditional
yeah.
fest
So
beer.
the 2A, the kind of the Marzen, 2B, sort of the
Fest
or
beer.
not to be. That is the question. See what I did there? Yeah. You know what? I'm giving myself one of those.
Okay, and 2B, we will rate that one a 3.
Okay.
Okay, a 3.
So not
I'm in between.
Not the
Yeah.
tie. Yeah. I mean,
Sort of 3.5.
it's a high 3.
Very high.
But I think it falls into that category of where the beer with the more flavor tends to get more points.
Okay. Okay.
You know, that's what happens with a lot of like session IPAs when you taste them with, normal IPAs.
Well-
they just tend to not get the extra credit.
For me on the fest beer, it just wasn't as clean finishing as I wanted. This should be
Yeah.
super clean finishing. And
Okay.
this one had a little extra going on.
That's
in
what I was
the
saying at the end. There
Could've
was
been
something
the
that just didn't quite.
booziness that-
Yeah, it's weird.
What
Yeah.
booziness?
I'm kind of curious to find that out whenever the
Yeah, I feel
maestro reveals.
Yeah, and I also feel like 2B could play in other styles in the lager category. Something with like maybe like not a Maibach, but definitely along those
Maybe
lines.
like an American lager almost, like not a light lager, but just
Right.
like a regular American lager. I don't think it's got adjuncts in it, but still.
I think, yeah, I mean, 2A, definitely very traditional. I mean, both in color, but in style. And I think this beer was brewed to style and very classic.
Yes.
2B, I feel, was a little bit more modern, maybe, in terms like I enjoy their interpretation. So if you're splitting hairs, I think that it's safe to say that 2A was the down the middle classic.
Yeah.
And 2B was a little like breathing a little bit of new life into what a fest beer would be. Okay. That being said, 2A was a 5.8% ABV beer from Tennessee. And
Two for two.
And 2B was a 4.5% ABV beer from
Interesting.
Pennsylvania.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Here again, though, both beers are good.
No, they
Yes.
are.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have hoisted and emptied a stein of either one of those, maybe
Yeah.
several.
Yes.
Exactly. But what I it's hard like now tasting both of them side by side and knowing what they are. I like the traditionalness of 2A, but I'm also really digging what Dancing Gnome did and kind of putting their own little twist on it. Because one of the things that I love about that brewery is they take traditional styles and they don't go completely off the rails, but they do their interpretation of it. Are you okay?
Yep.
What happened?
Oh, I skipped ahead to the threes.
Oh. Well, that's going to be interesting for the rest of us.
Yeah. For those playing along at home, Sparky here just made a very interesting face.
I thought he pulled a muscle.
Actually, the both things happened concurrently. I think I pulled them.
Yeah, he had a bit of a spasm.
Okay then.
Here we go.
Wow. Okay. So I think this is cool because again, not all beers are the same, and you can have different interpretations. All right. Let's move on then to round number 3. Thank you.
Hey,
That was really sweet.
that's me.
Okay. So round 3, the colors completely different. The styles completely different.
Right.
Okay.
This is for all the marbles. This is it.
All of them.
Yes.
Really? Gnomes play with marbles?
Sure. Because they're, well, like for gnomes, a marble's like a bowling ball.
Yeah, that's right.
They're tiny.
Okay.
They're big fans of bowling.
Did you guys ever see the old Disney movie, like from the late 60s, the Gnome Mobile? Did you guys ever see that?
The gnome.
I don't
What?
remember that.
Oh, no, seriously.
I feel like this is something Disney has kept locked in the vaults.
I bet you could find it on Disney Plus, but it had like the same little boy and little girl from Mary Poppins. They like just cut and pasted that into this movie about this grandfather who had a beautiful 1930s Rolls Royce, and he was selling a ton of timberland, and so it had like an environmental message. It was like late 60s. Nobody? Anyone? It's a real
not
movie.
ringing a bell.
The Gnome Mobile.
Wow.
It's a
July
thing.
12th, 1967.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It's kind of that whole like live action Mary Poppins kind of.
Sure.
Yeah.
While driving through the forest with his grandchildren,
Yeah, there you go.
Elizabeth and Rodney, lumber tycoon DJ Mulrooney stumbles across a duo of tiny gnomes.
Of course, he's a type.
A duo of tiny
Because
gnomes.
they were twins. See? That's
When
what
the
I-
there you go.
And when the lumber company's head of security hears the story, he thinks that Mulrooney has lost his mind and has him committed.
Cuckoo.
Now the grandchildren need to free the old man and also rescue the little gnomes who were kidnapped by a freak show promoter.
There you go.
There's a lot going on there. Yeah. They packed a lot into that.
I mean, I was a child in the 70s, so I bet I've seen this, but
Yeah.
I probably have repressed those memories.
Yeah. You probably woke up screaming.
Well, Disney did a ton of those live action movies
Yeah.
that like we, not the animated stuff.
Escape from Witch Mountain.
Yeah.
That was
What,
there.
did they do the
computer-
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang movies?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was
Was that
Disney.
Disney?
I feel like
I don't
that
think
was.
that.
Yeah.
It might have
It
been.
was.
They, of course, how can we forget Song of the South?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Woof.
it's hard to beat the Herbie movies, though.
Right, yeah.
The
Oh.
computer that wore sneakers
Yeah.
and
Yes.
like, those first Jeff Bridges like got his start doing that before he hit the dude.
And then didn't they also do the Benji movies?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I feel like that was something they
Yes.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was like some sort of devices that would tell us this stuff.
Yes.
Maybe a website.
Yes.
Okay. Battle 3 continues in just a minute. Welcome back, everyone. So now, this is round 3. This is for all the marbles and all of the gnomes in Gnome Land.
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more time.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
One of the greatest scenes of all time by gnomes.
Wow. I mean,
you don't
wow.
happen to have him talking about getting certain things off of certain planes, right?
No.
I mean, if we had a gnome version of that, that would just be the icing on the cake. Right
You know
there.
what?
Or Ezekiel 25:17. I'd take that too.
When we do the gnome fight rematch.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
There'll have to be a rematch
Yeah.
here.
Wow.
When we find some more gnomes to
Yeah.
come to battle.
That's right.
Yeah, I think we need to do a new gnome show at least once a year. Now that we-
Sponsored by Noom.
I mean, I
Sponsored by Noom.
will happily go to Pittsburgh to pick up more Dancing Gnome.
Okay.
I feel like we got to get some beer from Nome, Alaska, too. Just
There we go.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I know it's spelled without a G, but I mean,
Still.
Alaska just needs to get on board with the
Everybody
G
else.
and O and me.
Until someone yells no moss. We'll-
Oh,
I'm sorry, America. I'm sorry for all of us.
wow. Okay. That's wow. Okay.
Got a war face? Ah! That's the war face.
Feisty little suckers, aren't they?
Because it's round 3. This is this
Okay.
is it, man. This
Okay.
is the final.
The final countdown.
Wow. No.
Yes. Okay, so 2 completely different looking beers. One
Yes.
is light,
And tasting.
one is dark. Okay. What are our thoughts on 3A and what might we think it is?
It's kind of smooth.
It is. It's very light and refreshing.
Fest beer?
I think.
And no.
Definitely, I think higher ABV.
There's a
hoppier profile.
little sharpness in there, but
Kind of feels like a pale ale that just quite isn't.
Maybe a light ESB.
Okay.
Yeah, there's something going on with this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is yet.
So let's think about Fritz Maytag for a minute.
Ooh, okay. I know where you're going.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
So are we allowed to say steam, or do we have to refer to it?
Well,
use
California
the
common.
I was going to say use the more common name.
Oh, I see what you did
Okay.
there. Nerds.
So I think we were dancing around it, but just didn't pinpoint it.
Yeah.
so now I'm focusing you. Okay.
Yeah.
So 3A is what I feel is a nice interpretation of a California common. And again, a beer style that we don't see a lot of.
no.
God, when's the last time you actually drank one?
Within the last year. Yeah.
I drank an
for
Anchor
sure.
Steam probably 3-4 months ago.
Really?
It's like,
I haven't had one.
Forever. I'm going to have that.
I've got a
Yeah.
friend in Chicago. They've got like the big 19-ounce cans of
wow.
Anchor up there, and he like is showing me them all the time. I'm like, why don't we have that here? Because
I
I would.
swear, I think the last time I had a taste of it was the last time we went to GABF, like whatever,
Wow.
4 years ago.
I think
And they had
2017.
they actually had a booth, and we're serving it, and we got little pins. I remember that.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
God
I'll
bless
definitely be
Fritz.
revisiting it here in January. I'm teaching a class on beer at a local university. And
Nice.
that is on the first night. I do the one thing students hate is I lecture on the first night of class, but it's kind of here's how we got to where we're sitting here tonight. And Anchor Steam in Sierra Nevada is one of those beers that,
Aw, that's great.
You know, it's like, hey, here are two styles. Well, first off, Anchor Steam. Thank you, Fritz Maytag, for being the godfather of the American craft
for bringing
beer.
good beer.
Yeah.
to America.
And then, and then we also, I try to find something from Dogfish Head's Ancient Ale series. And then the other one is, Pilsner Urquell. So like, four beers that, you know,
Classics.
have had, you know, some huge impact or at least an approximation of what beer tasted like. So yeah, no, as far as steam beers go, this is very tasty.
So this beer from this particular brewery as a California common is 5.2% ABV.
That's right in the wheelhouse. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's about right.
Yeah.
I wish it had a little more hop character. That's one of the things I love about Anchor Steam.
Yeah.
Is they use those Northern Brewer hops, and it's just, I love that flavor.
Funny, there was a discussion that broke out on a local homebrew group that said he wanted to brew a steam beer, but did not want to use the Northern Brewer hops because his wife didn't like the minty flavor that they impart. So
That's part of it.
It's part of it. I agree, but there was a lot of good suggestions there on some other hops to use.
Yeah.
You know, definitely more on the noble side of things. You know, low bittering, or if you're going to use a high bittering hop, just use a small amount as a bittering addition. But yeah, it's definitely a style I like.
Okay, so for those that aren't aware of what a California common is, or steam beer, as Fritz came up with, it's a hybrid style that is very unique to us here in the United States. It's brewed with a special strain of lager yeast that works better at warmer temperatures. So for the traditional lager, you're not going to get like super crispiness. It's a little, like I would say it's a tiny bit softer, and it dates back to the late 1800s. So I think that's kind of cool that this particular brewery decided to brew that style. So based on that style and based on what you're tasting, color, etc., what would we be rating this beer?
I can go with that.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
We can go higher.
Sean's giving the old
Okay.
jazz hand.
We're going to go with a 4 for this beer in particular. Okay. Now, B.
Totally different.
Completely
And now for
different.
something totally different.
Exactly.
And I don't think you'll guess the style, but you might.
Maybe you will. I mean, we do have
you won't.
some extra special palates here.
We do.
I mean, when I first tasted this last time, I thought it was a Rausch beer at first, but then I was like, I don't know if I'm like just thrown off.
That's an interesting call. Like I don't get. Do you get smoke? Because
I thought I
I'm
did.
getting something that's smoke-ish.
Yeah.
Some phenols of some
Yeah,
sort.
definitely
some
some
phenolics
phenols.
for sure.
definitely
Yeah.
phenolic. A little bit of candy syrup, maybe a little bit in there is what I originally picked up.
Yeah, my mouth's starting to dry out. It's
I mean,
a little papery.
It's a dry finish. Is this supposed to be a Belgian style?
Kind of, sorta,
Okay.
but not Trappist.
Okay.
It's not a Trappist style.
Well,
old ale.
No.
Oh God, no.
Think of it's an imperial version of a style.
like a Russian Imperial?
Imperial brown.
No.
No.
It's got the
Yeah.
color.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's super. Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say.
So this is an Imperial Black Saison.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh.
so yeah, there's that.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah. That
Wrap that
would
around
never
your
have
head.
guessed that one.
No. But then again, how many Imperial Black Saisons have you had?
But
in
a
your
lot.
life?
A lot makes sense now. I mean, a lot.
So
Makes sense.
some of these characters we're getting those phenols now
Yeah.
make sense with that Belgian
From the
yeast.
yeast.
But
That's where it's coming from.
not Belgian yeast that went the right way. I feel like it's Belgian yeast that took a left turn.
Right.
It's,
like
It's missing something that you really want in a Saison.
Like
they-
those peppery notes,
Right.
And the dry
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah, if that's there, it's like totally plowed over. Like I couldn't pick that up if I tried.
I just don't get like why people make imperial versions of some styles. Like some styles
They like
it's
to
cool.
get, like to get
Well, yeah.
drunk.
Yeah, the Saison guidelines are some of the only ones that have 3 different strength levels in the
that's
BJCP,
fair.
going all the way from like 3.2 up to about 8 or 9.
Yeah.
So you can do big ABV Saisons, but they really get finicky once you get over 7, and it's a lot of work to make them balance out right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't feel like this is particularly balanced personally. I mean, it's interesting. God, that's a death
I
sentence.
thought it was a like when we first tried it before, like I thought
I just
it
want to
was
be
a quad
friends.
because of the the phenols and everything. But
Yeah, I mean when my first swig of this would definitely kind of made me
there's
twerk a little bit.
Yeah, there's something cloying in the mid palate that's sweet and just kind of it's like stuck. And I mean, I see where you get the candy sugar thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of gets stuck there. It's weird.
I agree.
This one is 8.1% ABV. And they say that it has the aroma with notes of sweet honey, spice, and pepper. And I'm getting a little bit of peppery.
Not as much as I want,
Yeah,
Okay.
in this style.
Okay.
but you're right. It's there. There's a
There's some
little bit.
spice.
Yeah, there's some
And
general
there's some-
spice.
I guess honey.
It's like an Old Spice.
Oh,
Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, I really think this is one they just need to give another try. It
Yeah.
feels like it wasn't fermented at the right temperatures or at the right, for the right amount of time.
And
There's
that's the
something
thing
that
with
went
those-
wrong with this.
Those Belgian yeast, man. You've got to treat them right because
they're tricky.
they are the star of the show.
Yeah.
Whether it's a Saison or a Trappist beer or whatever, the yeast is the thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The yeast, yes, the yeast is a thing. And that's why a true Belgian style ale, from the old world is just, it dominates. It really does.
Like
Because it's
Saison
just so,
DuPont. Yeah.
it's
Go for one of
so,
those right now.
right. It's so beautiful. It's so well crafted. I hate to say it's a thing of beauty, but it's a thing of beauty.
It
you
is.
have to be in the right
Yes.
mindset for it. But once you're there, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Okay.
I can always get into a DuPont mindset.
Well,
Yeah.
sure.
Right
Just
now.
slide right into it.
yeah.
Right now.
Exactly. But I think for this particular brewery that's trying to do something innovative, I thought it was an interesting take. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't have thought of doing this at all. So, kudos to their creativity.
Well, they can't all be home runs.
No, they can't.
Too,
But
is the other thing.
but not bad.
It reminds me, my grandpa Sparks used to say, Well, you don't taste anything like that every day. I was kind of like, he had like a million of those. Like,
He's kind of right.
I think in theory, a dark high strength saison's a really good idea. I mean, it does fit some of those really high end guidelines, but just keep trying, because this one needs a little work. But I think if they nailed it, it will be gorgeous.
True. So we are going to rate this one a 2. Okay. So
All right. Go big or go home.
And do tell.
yes.
What
do we got?
breweries-
Yeah, what is happening here?
okay.
Who won this cage fight?
This cage fight, Dancing Gnome won the cage fight because they had the California Common.
Wow.
And Crazy Gnome had their, what they call it, Chaotic Dreams, which I think is kind of appropriate in the scheme of things.
Well said.
Yeah. But still very interesting.
No, absolutely.
Well, I think this is a great example of a brewery getting its legs under them. I mean,
Yeah.
they've only been around for about a year.
Yeah.
And, this is learning these skills to manage these yeast takes time.
Oh,
and
sure.
they'll figure it out. It'll be great.
They will.
Especially
Yeah.
brewing
Yeah.
at a volume like higher, maybe they made this as a home brew or something. And it,
I bet you're right about that.
Killed it at like 5 gallons, but like Sean will
Scaled
tell
it.
you, that's a whole
Scale it
different
up,
game.
especially when you get in the higher ABVs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your yeast are incredibly important at that point, and you need to take good care of them and make sure, especially on the higher ABV stuff, you're pitching the yeast that you need to ferment cleanly and ferment out the way it's supposed to.
Or you just throw in a whole bunch of adjuncts at the end, and
there's
it's all done.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
And you've got an imperial lactose, saison.
There's a market for that. I'm not it, but
Yeah,
That's the thing.
just break it down and make it a seltzer. That's all I would do.
Wow. Yes. Okay.
Well, and I think they got hit by the tornado too.
They
I
did.
think
So
they
that's
were,
that's what delayed their opening.
They
bless their
were gonna,
hearts.
yeah.
Yeah.
They were almost ready to open into February 2020, ready to go. And then the tornado came through Nashville.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, we got slammed with a nasty tornado.
March 1st, wasn't it?
Yeah, just weeks before everything shut down.
Yeah.
Well, while we're okay, so I think it's safe to say that for this battle royale, the newer brewery, the Crazy Gnome, I think they're off to an amazing start.
They
Yeah,
are.
for sure.
And I think their 2 style beers are rather impressive. And I think with a little bit of time, I think they'll be outstanding. Now, this beer, I'm doing a little extra special last minute
surprise.
thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not
Dessert.
bad.
So this is an American Pale Ale from Dancing Gnome. This is the beer that started everything for this brewery.
Oh, interesting.
What's the name?
Yes.
Lustra.
It's called Lustra. This is it's a hazy American Pale. It's 5.8% hopped with Amarillo and Citra.
Yeah,
I
get
think
that
that's
for
very
sure.
nice.
Oh, yeah.
And this is absolutely gorgeous.
I really like this.
Yes.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. And to me, this is the epitome of what Dancing Gnome is.
Super clean.
Yeah, they're really good about their hops. They're really good about their pales and their IPAs. And
That's how they started. They only did hop forward beers in the beginning, but then they started expanding out.
Good for
to
them,
different
man.
And
styles,
this one, while hoppy and hazy is not too filling, it's pretty crushable.
Not hot burn either.
no, right. So last minute here, we're going to rate the Lustra from Dancing Gnome a 4. Well, I think this was a very interesting battle royale today, and that's going to do it for us. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're listening to us online, please do yourself a favor and
Give it a little tappy. Tap, tap, tap-a-roo.
tap that subscribe button. The easiest way to listen to our show is to ask Siri, Alexa, Google, or Uncle Larry, play podcast Sips, Suds, and Smokes.
We'd love your feedback, and you can reach us online at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com.
Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every day at Sips, Suds, Smokes, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news that might be meta in the future.
Oh, God.
You'll also be able to interact with thousands of other fans on those social media platforms.
Do us a favor and take the time to rate this episode if you're listening to us online. That's a big help to us, and we get to see your feedback as well.
Well, I want to thank all of our hostesses. Well, me being the hostesses. Yeah. And all of our hosts for today. Good old boy Kendall, thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure, always, especially this time.
Please tell us about your blog.
My beautiful wife and I blog about the good news of good beer on beermakes3.com and follow us on Instagram.
Yay. Good old boy Sparky, thanks for being here.
It's great to be here, but do I have to go back into the gnome box after this?
Yeah.
Get back in the box.
Sorry, dude. Good old boy Sean, thanks for being here.
Great to be here. Maybe one day I will DJ a polka party again on Twitch at my handle, DJ Polka Party 1810. But until then, just listen to some good polka music when you get the chance.
Yes. Good old boy Dave.
I won't consider it life until the day he DJs another polka party. So
Cool. This is good old gal Juliana. Keep on chuggling and catch you next time.
This has been a one-tan hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.